Got a Black Widow in the studio, ready to podcast. Just finished recording the editor podcast, and I asked Gilbert if he would take me to the new Traver supercharger. I'm very curious to check it out, but I also want to see the differences of what just regular autopilot has versus enhanced autopilot, versus, which isn't available anymore, versus full self-driving. Also, if you listen to the editor podcast, we talk about how Gilbert just got a crack in his windshield. That's a bummer. I'm sorry, man. All right, we're getting on the freeway.
So this car has just standard autopilot.
And this car, like, was that an add-on? Or
no.
This car just kind of came with it when you ordered it?
Yeah, Tesla has made autopilot standard on all their vehicles for a while now.
And really, it's just kind of like enhanced cruise control. You get in the lane that you want to be in, you turn it on, and it stays in the lane, and it stays a distance away from the car in front of you that you've predetermined?
Correct, and you can also, it will turn. So like not just staying in the lane, it'll actually, so I'm going to engage it right now, and this is just regular autopilot, and notice that it took the speed limit, which here is 70.
It added 5.
It added 5 because I have that set as the offset.
Okay.
So you can have it be 0, 10, etc. And then of course there are limits. So right now my foot's not on the throttle and I'm not holding the steering wheel other than to intervene and either turn up and down the volume knob to cheat it, or apply a turning force to the wheel. Yeah,
so even with standard autopilot, the car wants to know you're still awake.
Right.
So you either move the wheel a tiny bit, but the trick that you taught me that I didn't know about ahead of time was the volume wheel.
Yeah, so sometimes I'll just chill on the volume wheel.
Just click it up 1 or down
up
1.
And down 1. And also, there's actually an interior camera above the rear wheel.
Oh, yeah.
And that camera, notice the car's turning by itself.
Yeah.
So that camera is actually looking at your attention. And the reason why we know that is because someone actually took reverse engineered the feed from that camera to see what the logs are saying and to see what the camera's actually looking at.
Oh yeah, this camera. So like in Sentry mode, this camera above the rear view mirror.
So right now I'm getting the prompt to apply a turning force to the steering wheel, and it starts to blink blue after a while. So I can turn the wheel a little bit, and it resets. I also noticed that in some situations, for example, if you're going faster, or if you're going
like how we're going 75, but the speed limit is 70.
Yeah, if we're going faster relative to the speed limit, then it will actually ask for your attention more frequently.
Yeah.
And then also, if you look away from the road, like if I start turning and talking to you, which I'm trying to look, I turned it. Did you see it blink up? It immediately said, apply a turning force to the steering wheel.
When you...
Yeah, so there is some awareness of the attention and whether or not it prompts you, I've noticed. For quick ones, it's fine, but it will prompt you more frequently if it notices that you're not actively paying attention.
Wild.
And that's new, and that's, I guess, all machine learning based. So right now we're in autopilot, and you notice that in the navigation drop-down, there's no blue button that says navigate on autopilot, blue when it's enabled. It's just a list of directions.
Yeah.
Right? So with regular autopilot, you notice we're coming up to this car, it's going to slow down by itself. And I can set, I'm going to cut myself off here, I can set a follow distance with the right wheel.
Yeah, how many cars?
So right now, distance? 6 car lengths, 5 car lengths. So it's not really car lengths because it's actually speed sensitive. So if you're going like 5 miles per hour in traffic, it'll allow it to be really much closer. Yeah, so it's not crazy. But what I was going to say is on full self-driving and what we'll talk about later, enhanced autopilot, the car will actually navigate from the on-ramp to the off-ramp.
And change lanes.
So for example, if I wanted to change I'll do it right after here. I'm about to exit, but I'll do it anyway. I'll change lanes.
You're hitting the blinker for your left.
Yeah, so I'm checking myself. The car has no awareness of the lane, and it's not doing it. And notice you heard that beep?
That's autopilot turning off.
It keeps the radar cruise control, but now I have to steer the car. To re-enable autopilot, which I just did, and notice the car slowed down because I'm right behind somebody.
Yeah.
Actually, I killed it because I hit up by mistake. Oh, I'm signaling. You can't enable autopilot while you're signaling.
Oh, your blinker was still on.
So
okay.
Sorry about that. That's how I accidentally killed it. But the car will if all goes well, on full self-driving or enhanced autopilot, exit here and then hand off control of the car to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So right now, it will not do that. It's just gonna go.
It's gonna continue. It would have continued on the turn. Yeah.
So I killed it right now.
Yeah.
And there's a few ways to cancel it. I'm gonna show you what's happening here. Notice that the steering wheel isn't blue, but it still says 25 max. It dropped down because of the speed limit, but it has no awareness of that stop sign right now.
Yeah.
So I had to actually stop the car.
There's awareness in that it's showing up on the screen, but in terms of navigation and autopilot,
right. And the reason why it's showing on the screen is because in the settings, the autopilot settings, I have the full self-driving visualization enabled. And it gives you it's basically to show you what it's seeing.
Yeah, and it's just kind of showing off,
basically,
to us. I see that.
Yeah,
but you have not paid for enhanced autopilot because it's not available.
It's no longer available, and
you haven't paid for full self-driving on this car.
Correct, and the reason is because there are repeated reports, including one directly from Elon very recently, that said full self-driving is going to be available as a subscription within 6 weeks.
Wow.
And so if that is indeed the case, then I don't see the point of shelling out $10,000 for effectively a beta test.
So you would do a subscription for this car?
It just depends. It depends on what it is.
They haven't announced the rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so on the other car, I got enhanced autopilot because it does most of what full self-driving does that I care about.
Yeah.
Except not the beta features, and it doesn't have stoplight and stop sign control.
Yeah.
So we're at the, go ahead.
All right, we're at Bravo Farms in Traver, and this is the new Tesla Supercharger. How long ago did this pop up?
Oh, it's within months.
Months ago.
Yeah, it's not that long.
Very cool.
Is that guy holding a pig? No, it's a little tiny puppy.
Yeah.
That was one of those teacup.
And these are third generation chargers?
Yeah, I think these are all 150, so they would count as second gen, but technically in the third gen. Yeah, because I think the third gen really counts as like the 250 kW and above, and the above ones that they really aren't anywhere that I've seen except for the Tesla headquarters in Hawthorne.
Yeah.
Where maybe they just have test models.
He's introducing his little puppy to a sheep. Pretty crazy. Oh, she's got snacks. This one, 1B. All right. So we're grabbing the charger, and I just pushed this button next to the, and it opened, and we plug it in. Is it 100, you said 150?
I believe these are 150s, yeah.
150 kilowatts.
Kilowatts, yeah.
How many miles per minute will you get about
this one? Oh boy, a lot. Like 300 miles per hour of charge, so divided by 60. So it's a lot.
So even if we just stay here for like 5 minutes, you're gonna get a good.
Yeah.
And even right now, it's just saying it'll top off to your cap in just 8 minutes. Now you have it capped at what, 80%?
I don't know. We'll go in there and hit set limit and check it out and see what it is. I can't remember what it is. I put it pretty low though.
Set limit.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be 60%.
That's okay. So yeah, you're capping it at 60%. It's not great to charge these all the way to 100% all the time.
Yeah.
In fact, even at like trip, it considers like 90% as.
Yeah, that's where the trip zone starts, and I've charged it 100% once.
Yeah.
So
you topped it all the way off because you were going on a trip.
On a very
you can listen more about that in the editor podcast how that went.
But also, I want to point out, part of the reason why it's able to charge so fast right now is because it preconditioned the battery because I put it in the navigation.
We were driving to a supercharger.
Right, and once it knows that, once you start to get close enough, it will actually start cooling and warming the battery depending on what your situation is to optimize it to take this huge current that's about to come into it.
Crazy.
So, yeah, it's an immense amount of power.
Wild. And it lets you know how much money you are spending as you go along. Now this, you just have like your credit card on your Tesla account, and it just charges.
It just bills it, yeah. But in this instance, I have the free miles.
here's a known issue that we know about with the Model Y, and it's especially on the passenger door, but it's happened on Gilbert's blue Model Y and our friend Javier's Model Y. If you don't put enough pressure, this doesn't seal, and in the car display it says this door is still open, it won't go. We have to kind of really push the door in, and then I don't know if you saw, but it actually closed the window. But yeah, if you don't put enough pressure, I mean with any car door, you don't put enough pressure and it won't close. But I would say that was an acceptable amount of pressure to close the door, and it's not sealing. You know, if we try the back door.
That was a really close.
That was not. There we go. We're close. I'm gonna try to. I mean, how can I really always apply the same amount of pressure?
Yeah, that was
about the same, but it still has not closed. Now, our friend Javier has had this repaired on his Model Y. He must have taken it to the Oakland Service Center. They have mitigated this. We don't know. They didn't tell him or us what it was they did to the door, but it does shut properly with an appropriate amount of force.
Yeah, it's a known issue. It might be that there's the rubber around the door there is actually forcing it out a little.
This is too strong.
Yeah, do you see how it actually is pushing out the window?
Yeah.
And part of the reason why it does the drop down is because it doesn't have the frame around the window, but also as a pressure relief, so that you can close the door more easily. And that's why it tucks up. Makes it kind of annoying after you've washed your windows, because then you get the streak every single time. It's on
there's always a streak right here.
Here when they go.
Oh, down
bottom,
here, yeah.
So you get like an inch of it. But yeah, I've noticed that this one, and sometimes even when it tucks up, the window hasn't aligned properly. The other Model Y did not do this, and we just noticed it.
Yeah, on this one. But luckily, Gilbert is taking this one in for service. If you watched last week's video about the accessories, the GPS unit is getting installed, so that was part of it. But he's going to have them fix this as well. So something to look out for on your Model Y. You know, if you're picking one up, try to catch it before you even walk away when they say it's ready for pickup. Yeah,
and they're not going to fix it there. They're going to tell you the same thing, go to a service center, but document it before, they say before 100 miles or 24 hours. Yeah. It's like the documentation period, so just record it.
Yep.
But this is a warranty issue anyway, like irrespective of
this. Yeah. This is going to get taken care of.
Yeah, so that has nothing to do with it. So.
Cool.
But yeah, always something little with these things.
Some little thing, even on a $60,000 car.
Yeah, they still haven't figured it out. It's a home shortcut.
All right, I'm swiping down.
On the navigate.
Oh, navigate?
Yeah, so that will get you home immediately if you have home set.
Cool.
So that's a little shortcut that not a lot of people know.
Although now everybody knows your address.
Oh yeah, well you'll have to block it out.
Yeah.
But the reason why is because if I had enhanced autopilot, we need to go. If I had enhanced autopilot or full self-driving, it would have been, like I said, blue, and it would have merged on. I would have theoretically had to have no intervention, and then it would have exited on the exit, theoretically.
Enhanced autopilot would have beeped at you to take back over as you're approaching the...
Yeah, and assuming it exits, because I've noticed that enhanced autopilot in this little stretch of freeway that's being redone so often.
California 99.
Yeah, it doesn't quite understand the exits yet, so it will just drive past them.
Oh, because what the navigation has and where it actually is like off. Precisely.
And yeah, even though it knows the exit's coming up, it doesn't quite understand exactly where it is. And it is using machine learning to accumulate that data in part. Like I think I mentioned that it has some database of what the speed limits are for a given area, but it's also now using the cameras to look at the speed limit signs.
Yeah.
And backfeed that information, right?
So it's not looking at the sign and saying, I see that sign says 55, therefore this needs to be 55.
Right.
It's just seeing, I see 55, I'm gonna cross-reference that info up with the...
Yeah, and I think it's looking for multiple confirmations or whatever they're doing to get that information, to update that database over time, because I have noticed that some areas where it thought the speed limit was lower which is pretty notorious in farm roads here.
Yeah, everybody's used to driving a 55 speed limit in some of the rural areas, but the system might think it's like 25 or 40.
Right.
So obviously, the speed limit is correct here. It's 70. You've got your threshold set at 75. When you are in these rural areas and everybody else is driving 55, these stretches of
yeah, a lot of times it'll limit me to 45 there. But that has to do with another thing. But go on.
Yeah, could you override that and be like, everyone's driving 55, and if I lock this in at 45, everyone behind me is going to be mad?
Autopilot is always limited to whatever it allows you to do. So in this instance, I'm going to max out the speed, and notice it gave me a max of 90.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's going to go catch up to that car a little bit more, but even still, it's not going to just arbitrarily speed if there's traffic in front of me.
Yeah.
Neither will the regular cruise control, right? Which means that autopilot means that steering wheel is active.
Yeah.
Regular distance cruise control means that it's just doing range. It'll stop for you, and it also, so the override is to eliminate autopilot and just use the range cruise control, which you have to steer. And also part of the limitations in the country roads is because Teslas aren't just looking at the lines on the road.
Right.
They're looking at I want to see how this is going to handle it. Let's see.
Oh, this.
Yeah. So I'm bracing, because if somebody had stepped out, the car might want to slam on the brakes.
Yeah, with that accident out on the...
Exactly. So you have to be really careful about that. And I'll show you some of those limitations when we get onto the street and how autopilot works on the street.
Which, I mean, if someone from that accident out there had just walked into the road, I think my personal instinct would also be like, oh, I got to really slow down, step on the brakes.
Do you see how it slowed down when it saw this car slow down?
Yeah.
Because he swerved a little, so he actually hesitated. And also, it should see that emergency. It sees it as a light, which is really funny. So now, in theory, the enhanced autopilot and full self-driving would just exit right here.
Yeah, it would see the exit and start to and beep at you like, I need you to take back over.
So I want to talk about the main ways of canceling autopilot, because that actually is a big issue for some people. So, and it could actually cause problems. So notice that to exit that off-ramp, to get off on that exit, I force the steering wheel, and it provides some significant resistance. So you actually need to go. You need to really actually crank
the steering wheel to override it.
That automatically overrides it. But
both autopilot and the cruise control.
No, that's exactly what I was getting at. So like if you have autopilot enabled, like right now, it's enabled because it had the blue steering wheel and set to a 40 mile per hour max. I'm going to override it by turning the steering wheel. And you'll notice that the regular cruise control
is still on. The max is still on. That's the cruise control. Okay.
If I'm going to re-enable autopilot, which it won't let me do because we're approaching an intersection. It never allows you to put on autopilot in an intersection or anywhere where it has a low certainty. So notice that it saw the school zone. It asked me to intervene because it dropped down the speed limit and we were entering an intersection, but it saw the school zone. So if I wanted to cancel both, there's two ways. I can hit the brakes, which will immediately cancel both, which makes sense. Yeah, it should do that.
Most cruise control and like assisted cruise controls would be overridden by tapping the brakes. Yeah.
And then because on Model 3 and Model Y, the autopilot is enabled by the same stalk as the drive.
Yeah, it's your drive, reverse, park stalk. Yeah.
So enabling regular cruise control is one tap down. Yes. Which feels really awkward. Notice the car wanted to blow through the stop sign. Full self-driving wouldn't have done that. One tap down feels really awkward when you're driving because it feels like you're shifting it into gear again, but that's not how these cars work.
Right.
Two taps down is autopilot, and again, we're in an intersection, so it does not allow it. Right? Still doesn't allow it.
I don't. Well, it does.
This
road. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's okay. Yeah. So. The two taps down will enable autopilot. Okay. And then to cancel both, you push it up, all the way up.
Like you're going into reverse?
Yeah, which, you'd never want to in real life, in a regular transmission vehicle, throw a car into reverse while you're driving. You would basically destroy the car, probably get into an accident. It would be catastrophic.
Yeah.
So it is very counterintuitive I think, that you do it that way.
Yeah, I think when I rented a Model 3, I think I was disabling it, just quickly tapping the brake.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do that.
Just a
this
little,
guy has no idea.
Tappy tap.
People here. So I wanted to talk about like how autopilot acts on the street.
Yeah.
So let's start by like regular cruise control. So right now the limit's set to 40. So notice there's nobody in front of me to regulate that speed, so I can turn the wheel down to get it to 25.
You're using the thumb wheel on the right.
Yeah, the thumb wheel on the right, it's acceleration sensitive. So if I turn it fast, it will give me 5 mile per hour ratchets on my speed setting.
Oh, cool.
If I turn it slow, it does 1 mile per hour ratchets. Yeah. Right? But when you're using autopilot on the street, it is looking at, I call it the lead car trick. Yeah. So it won't stop at a stoplight like current full self-driving.
Right. If you come up to an intersection with a stop sign and a stoplight,
right,
and you had autopilot, you just blow right through it.
You would just blow right through it. But if you have someone in front of you
who is stopped at that intersection,
yeah, then it will go. And I want to show you
one way to stop.
Yeah.
You said go, but yes, yeah.
It will stop, but then once they leave, it's just going to want to go again.
So a stop sign, that's not ideal.
No, it's not, because if they just start leaving,
you're not going to stop it.
Yeah, you need to stop.
Especially if there's traffic perpendicular from you. That's
exactly. So we didn't have a favorable situation, but I'll show you kind of a one really cool use for it. Do you remember when I went to go get my vaccine?
Sure, yeah.
So we were in a huge line of cars, hundreds of cars.
Yeah.
And they were driving, and
drive-through.
It was a drive-through, and yeah, they didn't even have me get out of the car.
Hopefully, I'll be able to join you for your second vaccine.
Yeah, and we'll totally use this trick. But I'm gonna go into this Starbucks here because I want some coffee. But I'm gonna show you the trick that we use autopilot for. And the reason is because if you have hold mode on the car, doing like low speed maneuvers, like going through a drive-through, can be really frustrating, and it can actually over engage the brake and make a clunky sound, because like hold mode is basically trying to hold the car for you without you, so you could do one pedal driving effectively.
Right. So yeah, one pedal driving is what like Chevrolet calls it. Does Tesla call it one pedal driving?
I don't know what they call it. So it's not gonna let me enable it here. Damn.
So you were trying to enable.
Yeah, because it knows it's on the regular. So basically the idea is it did let me. So I'm steering right now. This is regular distance cruise control, and I'm going to limit it to 5 miles per hour.
So when this car pulls forward,
the car will too. But now if they pull too far forward, I'll miss the speaker.
So you will need to brake.
Yeah, but this was great because like if you're in stop and go traffic or anything like that, obviously it should be doing that for you. So it's intuitive, but the fact that you could do it in a drive-through means that the car will slowly creep you forward without you having to think about, stepping on the brake until it's time to actually stop,
Or like just, keeping, I like days off and then like 2 cars move forward and someone's honking at me because I'm
exactly
not paying attention. So at least if the car started rolling forward, automatically I would know to.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll look up. But yeah. So when this gal goes, the car will go. But yeah, I used this in the vaccine line, and I didn't have to.
You just were able to roll right behind the car in front of you.
And this is the trick I use, like I said, for the lead car trick when I'm using autopilot on the streets. So the car should pull forward.
They're moving.
And I have a very high car threshold. So let me lower it. I had it up to 6 before. It's supposed to go.
Maybe we needed to have that before.
Yeah, I did it. So yeah, I had it up to 6. So
it needed to get far away before.
Yeah.
Before we take off in the car with enhanced autopilot, we want to install these little covers, door lock covers. They're just little bits of plastic, but they go where the door latches. So the door closes and locks on this bracket. But why do we need to cover them, Gilbert?
Well, from what I understand, those because it's untreated metal, the base plate of it, they rust easily, and that's not likely to happen in this area. See, these are way more easier to install than the previous ones. It's not likely to happen in this area because we're not subject to too much moisture.
Yeah.
But I think it looks nicer.
Yeah, it does look nice.
The other cap that it came with covers that part of the hinge.
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I bet you could figure out how to put it on.
Grab the rest, just bring them all over.
And I've noticed it doesn't interfere with the latch mechanism or the ability for the door to close or anything.
And these are from Teslarati as well, or are these from Tesla?
These are from some random Amazon company.
Oh.
They were like $5. Yeah, that was easy, right?
Yeah.
This one's not quite on.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah. That's why I used the mallet before, the rubber mallet.
Yeah.
Gently. Because it's hard on my hands.
Tap, tap, tap.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want to protect the rust, protect it from rust, do that. But otherwise, it's just, it really is just a silly cosmetic thing for my purposes. Oh, you got the muscles, man. That's hard for me to do.
Yeah. That's funny. Someone just thought, oh, I can just put some plastic on top of these things and then it won't rust. Or maybe it will rust and I just won't see it. Gilbert also got this accessory. It's like a little lunch tray, little desk, do some work here. And I think it goes in like this, right? I don't know. Let me figure it out. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so now I've got a little tray. I can set my phone here and do some work. I can put my drink here and eat lunch here. You basically just live in this car now. I don't ever need to leave.
The other side it's double-sided, so the other side has like a more open area for a laptop and a pencil.
Oh, do my Apple Pencil storage in here.
Notice how like the rubber marked it up. Now the Teslarati makes like a much nicer version of this. It's like wood. This is some cheapo thing on Amazon. I wanted to see if it would work for me, but I don't know. It marks the steering wheel up, but it's cool.
It's just rubber.
Yeah, just rubber.
Just
so you
rubber.
can wipe it off. It's not a big deal.
Oh yeah, look at that. So yeah, set my iPad Pro here. Do some work. Have my Apple Pencil here.
Yeah.
Do some journaling while I'm waiting for my car to finish charging at the.
There's been many times when I've been at a supercharger where I've been like, man, I wish I had some place to put my food or whatever, So
yeah.
That's why I got it. I'll try it and see.
Yeah. All right, now let's hit the road with some, what is this? Enhanced Autopilot. I wish that there was like a favorites setting for this, because like we just missed it, but Gilbert just essentially swapped us from like our feet and the windshield defrost and to cool it off, because it was like cold this morning or late last night, and now it's kind of warm. But yeah, if it was just like, hey, I want my hot setting and I want my cold setting, my winter setting, my summer setting, that would be nice. But yeah.
Couple things that people don't notice about the air conditioner. The rear air conditioner, that's what that button on the bottom right is.
So people in the back get some air?
Yeah, and then if you tap the temperature setting, it brings up a sync button, and if you hit that, it'll bring up 2 temperatures for dual zone. And a lot of people I've noticed don't know how to get in and out of dual zone.
And now we're both 16. Okay, cool. Let's hit the road. All right. So we are now in a vehicle with enhanced autopilot, which is no longer an option. But you may have a car that had enhanced autopilot.
Yeah, even you can buy it if you buy a used car, and because Autopilot lived with the car. There's some talk of them doing stuff where the subscription follows the driver and not the car. Oh, so that is a possibility too. But the enhanced Autopilot used to come and go like quarterly, and I think it had to do with their sales. But now the last time it was offered, I think, was from September of 2020 to November of 2020.
Interesting.
And that happened to be right in the pocket of one of the
McRib of car software.
Yeah, but now that they're going to a subscription model, there's a lot of it's very unlikely that they're going to redo enhanced autopilot. Although if they do, I probably would buy it again if the price wasn't significantly increased. Anyway, the reason why I'm pulling into this parking lot.
We're in a parking lot.
Yeah, is because one of the differences between Autopilot and enhanced Autopilot and full self-driving is the ability to use the summon modes.
Oh, right. And like 3 weeks ago, yeah, we did a little summoning. I stayed in the car.
So this time I'm going to have you get out of the car and see what's
Watch the car.
Yeah, and you can control it yourself. And so let's go ahead and get out.
All right. Here is the Tesla app, and the car is just beyond this bush right here. It's parked, and we are, just in a parking lot. So we're going to hit summon, smart summon. Here's where we are, here's where the car is. Please monitor the vehicles surrounding, press and hold to start. Go to Target, not the Target shopping center, but us. We are the Target. Go to Target. And I press this button and the car's backing up.
If you notice on its path, it had a little backup built in.
Oh, it needed get the room. It was a little, yeah, it was a little crooked.
And so the idea here is it's raining outside and you want to pull your car toward you. So full self-driving has this, but also enhanced Autopilot has it. So
regular Autopilot does not.
Correct.
Here it comes, here it comes. You can see there's no one in the car. All right, it's turning. No, it's coming straight. And if I let go of the button, it will stop.
Which you can change in settings. So
if I have a heart attack and fall over,
yeah,
that would stop it. All right, it's here.
So
what were you gonna say? You could. What's the other possible settings?
So in settings, you can dictate whether or not you have to hold it down persistently, which I prefer.
Yeah.
Because
dead man switch.
Yeah, it's a dead man switch, and it also tells me the car has a persistent connection with the phone. If it doesn't have that connection, it won't do it.
Yeah. If the connection drops, it will stop.
Right. So there's no way I would do this unless I could see the car and it was a relatively empty area.
Yeah.
It just seems really irresponsible.
Yeah.
The whole it's GPS limited. It's a geofence. So if you go outside of, you can increase the limit in settings.
The upper boundary of.
But even still, it's like 75 feet. I can't remember.
That's pretty far.
But it's far, but it's not that far. The whole idea is you're doing it. It's raining in front of the store, and you want to get your car to you, so you don't have to walk in the wet area. Yeah. But I rarely use this other than a parlor trick.
Show me your
exactly. And once you were last time you were in the car,
I was in the car, yeah.
And because it does weird stuff, it's like it's drunk, So and it's anytime a car is unpredictable and it's like driving in actual traffic, like to me that seems crazy. But the more useful summon feature is the forward and back only version.
Okay.
And I'll show you that in a bit.
All right. For parking in tight spaces and stuff. Yeah. Also you can see, especially because the sun is setting, you can kind of see how this panel isn't perfectly aligned. It's still a little off.
Yep.
But you're just living with it?
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
That doesn't bother. Actually, because, okay, so realistically, it's because this hood, the hood on the Model Y for the front trunk is so light and malleable. Do you see how it moves so easily?
Yeah, it's got some flex.
Oh, I forgot to show you something on the blue one. I'll show you when we get back. But yeah, it does not feel very, like when you push it, it warps.
Yeah.
So I always tell people to push from the very edge. It also prevents hand
or scratching your.
But basically, I could just turn it a little bit and it'll line up better. And that's really what it is. It's because the panel itself is so light and malleable that it doesn't really stick. It doesn't line up well. Yeah, and Javier's came completely askew, and you could tell from the bolts, the mounting bolts, that they had moved it. Yeah. So they like I said, they still have a long way to go.
So we're gonna head back to the supercharger again.
Go to the nearest supercharger. All right, so you'll see immediately one of the big differences is that we have a new button here that says navigate on autopilot. Tap that. But I'm driving on this city street here. It's not doing it by itself.
Right.
So I'll go ahead and enable autopilot right now, and we'll use the lead car trick and see what happens. And also, this is a very tricky turn.
Yeah,
So let's see. I'm gonna see if it slows down. I'm gonna see if it slows down. Yep. That's scary. I don't want to do it. I don't want to let it. I took over because forget it. It would have been fine. Why am I gonna let my car do that? Like, and risk it,
Tricky, yeah. Right turn.
So we're gonna get intersection. So I'm gonna have it stop at the lead car here.
Yeah.
So this is a red light.
We don't have full self-driving on this car, just enhanced.
It saw the intersection and it saw the train tracks.
That's what that was like. Please apply.
And I'm pushing the throttle to get it closer to this car because, and you hear the brake noise. Because it wants to keep engaging whole at low speeds. But
that wasn't you just like flapping.
No, it sometimes does that because so I'm not touching anything right now.
And the car, okay, so the car started to go, so we started to go.
Right, and because it's a green light, it's like having stoplight control without having full self-driving.
But it only works if there's a car in front of you.
Right, and yeah, it's a nice little trick with lights. With a stop sign, obviously I would have just blown through the stop sign.
Right, that wouldn't work. It only works with stoplights, and it only works when there's a car directly in front of you.
Right.
It's ill-advised, I would say. So
we have a green arrow here, and what I'm going to do is we're going to get on the freeway, and as soon as I'm on the on-ramp, I'm going to go ahead and enable autopilot.
Yep.
So it's enabled, and so it says keep hand on the wheel. I'm going to, I can just tell it I'm live. So the idea is it should, in theory, merge onto the highway by itself.
Without hitting a car in the lane next to us, and it looks like it's pretty clear.
And it does a good job of getting up to speed. I will signal the intention anyway.
Yeah.
And it did that by itself.
Nice.
So one of the big differences with autopilot and enhanced autopilot or full self-driving is the lane changing. Whereas anytime I hit the signal on the previous one, on the autopilot only, it would cancel the autopilot operation. It would keep radar cruise control, but it would cancel autopilot. But now when I go to the signal, it notices that there's nobody behind me.
It puts the blue in the...
It also cancels the signal automatically.
Awesome.
So I no longer had to constantly turn it on and off.
Yeah.
Some people don't care about that. Yeah. Just like summon, like who cares about like smart summon?
Sure.
Like realistically, but again, party trick. But for that, it actually is really nice for long drives because,
if we were behind this semi truck.
Let's do it. So I'm gonna and it might hit pretty hard. I noticed that it hits the brakes pretty hard if it gets too.
Yeah, because it's only going 55 and we were going 75-ish. Oh, they're moving, or they're really.
I think the semi's drunk.
He's like in 2 lanes at once.
Yeah, this is weird. I don't know why he's doing that. But also, right now, it also has a bunch of different modes and different levels of aggressiveness in the autopilot settings. So right now, I have to go to the customize menu, and notice it says enable at the start of every trip. So you can have the default setting. So the blue button.
Yeah.
So that
was off. So it wasn't going to navigate.
Correct.
On autopilot, and we are on mild for speed-based lane changes. Is that what you're about?
Yeah. So what that is if traffic's really slow and it detects that you can have a faster lane, it will offer the lane change for you. Like right now, confirm lane change to go to the faster lane.
Because we're behind this truck.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and allow it to do what it wants. You can actually have it so that it doesn't require confirmation.
Was that this lane change notification?
Yeah, the notification, and then also the require lane change confirmation. The way I confirmed it was with the stalk. And I like that because I cannot imagine allowing the car right now, today anyway, allowing the car to change lanes on its own whim.
I think there's a better lane to be in. Boom, I'm taking it.
And of course, it has those different thresholds.
Yeah, the average and Mad Max.
Yeah, and it really is aggressive. Like, it really wants to go if you allow it to. So I'm going to put the max up to 85. And notice it'll just blow past the speed limit.
We're going, yeah.
Right, and then in this instance, it allows me to go up to 90, which I think is a little bit, it's too much.
That's fast.
It doesn't need to go 20 miles per hour over the speed limit. But again, that number is relative to not just the speed limit that it detects, but also the safety conditions and also how well the vision can see the road ahead of it.
Yeah, all of the cameras and radar.
So from what I understand, based on previous talks, like it's not just, I was mentioning this before, it's not just looking at the lines, it actually is looking at the drivable space. So I'm going to give you a good example of some weird behavior, where I'm letting it change by itself. In a merging situation, because the lane looks like it's getting wider, it thinks there's more drivable space, so it actually will drive to the center of that drivable space.
So like we're about to hit an off ramp and then on ramp. Where that on ramp, this lane right here, or this line in the road ends, and then it picks up where the incoming lane is, so it thinks that's drivable space and puts us in the middle.
So it's it looks like you're swerving into the middle. Yeah. Which is a little bit hairy.
Are there any settings to alleviate that?
I don't mind it. It's just once you expect it, you understand what's going on. Yeah. It's not so jarring, but yeah, you definitely need to understand what's going on. So let's see if it understands that this exit is where it needs to go, because in theory, the car should exit by itself. Yeah. And then hand off to you. And it'll say prepare to take over, you know, all these kinds of things. So this is just a warning for turning force. I'm going to increase my follow distance from that car. So go further from the truck ahead of us. So I put it at 5 car lengths. And again, it's preconditioning the battery for fast charging because it knows we're going to supercharger. Yeah, cool. So I'm going to signal when it's time. It usually gives me a little confirmation. Let's see. Oh, it steered, but I don't know if that was the drivable space. Navigate on autopilot, ending in 600 feet. Okay, so I did signal the intention, and now look at the max speed. It's dropping the max speed. Yeah. Automatically, and it says press accelerator to resume, and now it says take over immediately because I tried to ignore it. So it was able to go on ramp to off ramp with no intervention, and it was able to merge, change lanes, and exit the freeway with literally no intervention. Yeah, which is cool. So on the way back, I think what we should do is we should show what happens if we ignore autopilot. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be watching. I mean, we're going to be driving safely. Yes. But I want to show what happens, like, because people are always like, oh, people, you know, in Teslas, they're just driving, you know, letting the car drive itself. It is so aggressive about requiring intervention. Yeah. And it has a funny trick up its sleeve too for that, and we'll talk about it in a minute. Cool. All right. We'll see you later, Bravo Farms, Traver, Supercharger. Let's see. You know, with these country roads, it does some funny stuff because, like, you know, it's not so clear, and I really do feel like a beta tester when I have it do this. But like, let's look at this situation here, because one of the things that enhanced autopilot and full self-driving have is auto park. And this is a situation where auto park wouldn't be enabled, which is where it notices a gap between 2 cars. If you look at the screen, in theory, I should get a park button that pops up. Yep, there it goes. So give me park. I'm gonna tap it. Wait, what do I need to do? I need to put the car in reverse and then hit start. And it's doing this by itself. And of course, I'm always like super careful about this because... yeah, we could hit these other cars. Right. So it's what it looks for in order to receive that P. The park... is the gap between the 2 cars? Right. So, okay. I canceled it because I don't need to go that close to the parking stop. Sure, so the curb behind us, yeah. Right. So this would be an example of like when you would use self-parking, and it's tricky to get it to enable sometimes, and it will park forward, it'll park backward. You want to try to park it forward? Let's see if we can do it. See if we can get it to work. I've never parked it forward in a perpendicular spot. This is like completely blind. Trying to see past that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't need help parking forward. Right. And even backing up like we just did, you know, I can do it myself, but it's nice that it did it for us. Yeah, okay, so here's well, I don't know, there's no backstop there, so I'm not even going to try that one, because it'd be funny if it just drove into the street. Alright. So I'm going to basically go in a loop and then try to get it to recognize that I'm parking forward. I don't know if it actually does this from this kind of situation, so let's find out. Because basically I'm going to be pulling almost to the spot already. Like, why wouldn't I just pull forward more? You know, so yeah, it doesn't ask for it. Because that's a weird situation, from a street across double yellow. So like, why would it offer it, you know? Yeah. This is even worse than parking backwards. And then the B pillar is in the way. You are clear. Thank you, sir. On this side. Thank you. So, in order, we'll drive back into town.
Bad bitches only, just like Bad Trip.
So funny.
That they must be fans of Eric Andre's Bad Trip movie.
That movie, oh my god.
Everyone go watch Bad Trip on Netflix. Not sponsored, but highly recommended. This road though, they put in the supercharger, but they didn't fix the road.
Yeah, there's all the semi-traffic here, so it's probably not reinforced. Have you seen how much rebar they put in new freeways construction?
Tons.
It's like, it seems like 50% rebar and 50% fill. It's
good.
It's a lot. Yeah, hopefully that helps. Earthquakes and all that. So right now we are going to try to make Autopilot yell at us.
Okay, so we're hopping back on the freeway.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have it navigate home. And then the blue button should be on by default, which it is.
Yes.
So it is navigating. And basically what I'm going to do, I'm gonna enable Autopilot right now. Oh.
And it should take us...
I still need to turn onto the freeway.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because it doesn't have navigate on City Street. Did you see how it turned to the left?
Yeah.
Because
it's trying to center into the...
It tried to send her into that area, and I just feel so uncomfortable about that.
Yeah, sometimes I want to be a little off to the side.
Right. All right, so we're gonna I'm gonna slow down a bit. I'm just gonna let people.
We're in the slow lane.
We're in the slow lane, and I'm just gonna go right to the speed limit here. I'm gonna grab the steering wheel here for this situation in case somebody does something unpredictable there, because if they get out and the car wants to slam on the brakes, I want to be aware of what it's gonna do. It's crazy, the cypress trees through the sun here. It's like being inside an old-fashioned camera. It has apparently been a seizure issue for some people.
Oh, the sunlight through the trees, oh man.
Yeah, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to ignore the car's warnings. And in fact, I'll look at you. Hopefully, it'll give me one sooner.
So we're okay. We've got the warning applied.
That's stage one. Stage two is the blue.
And then it'll beep at us next. Yes. Oh, there is actual traffic. We're gonna.
Was there an accident?
I hope not. Yeah.
Everybody's stopping hard.
All lanes are stopping.
It's wanting me to go to a faster lane.
Hi.
It's really funny.
You're slowing down. No, it's just all the lanes.
So it's cool. I didn't step on the brake or anything, but I was very, very prepared with my foot hovering.
Oh,
but again.
Oh, okay.
But the car did all this.
Cool. But you were ready, as you should be.
But again, I'm completely noticed the blue's blinking faster. It's yelling at me. Now it's got red hands on the warning. It's gonna yell at me even more. It's gonna yell at me, and then it gives you a nasty warning in a minute.
Oh yeah, there is something going on. There's a highway patrol car over there.
Double.
Oh, really big.
It just punished me.
Auto steer unavailable for the rest of this drive.
I'm gonna keep ignoring it. It's completely stopping the car and now put on the hazards.
Wow.
Look at that. I've never seen it do that. So it completely disabled. I just killed it. Yeah. Now, if I go to enable,
nope.
Auto steer is unavailable for the rest of this drive.
You are punished. Also, you're gonna veer into the lane.
Yeah. Oh, that's the corrective steering. So you can actually you can determine how it does it. So if you feel the steering wheel, when I go to the line, when I approach the line, it starts vibrating the steering wheel.
Oh, it's like, hey,
yeah,
you're getting too
as
close.
An indicator that I'm getting too close.
Which is funny because there are the vibration.
The rumble strip. But I do have regular radar cruise control. I just do not have access to auto steer.
Until we stop.
Park the car, and then we'll be. So it completely punished me for not paying attention, and it won't even allow me to use Autopilot, which I think is great. I think it should do that.
It's a little sassy, but we like it.
So I am using the radar cruise control. Oh, I should have gotten up, but it's okay. We need we're going to go to where it's a little bit busier.
All right.
So that we can try to find a place to park parallel, and then also we'll do the other one. We'll do the in-car summon that we're trying to do with the supercharger.
Yeah.
We'll do that in my garage.
Cool.
Because that's scary too. It's really nice. If you drive in a lot of traffic, Autopilot alone is worth its weight in gold.
That, Lauren isn't driving to Merced every day from Fresno anymore, but I was highly considering. Oh yeah, here's the accident.
And again, I'm like super ready. So one thing I've noticed about autopilot and self-driving, like this concept of the way it does it, is it kind of frees up some mental energy for me to pay more attention to the surroundings of the road.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's actually enhances my driving rather than
it's driving
for me. Yeah.
Yeah, when Lauren was driving to Merced every single day, you know, the strip of the Highway 99 from across the Central Valley is the most dangerous freeway in the United States.
Wow.
Statistically, there was an article about it a couple of years ago.
Wow.
So I was wanting her to get a Tesla with autopilot, enhanced autopilot preferably, so that, essentially she would have a second set of eyes on the road when she's driving this most dangerous stretch of freeway.
Makes sense. Did you notice when we just pulled...
Hey, we recorded episode 67 out there.
We did our worst sounding episode ever.
Our worst sounding episode of Editor Podcast.
We've had some pretty bad ones, like a few of them.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's totally fine. Did you notice that at that temporary speed limit sign, it dropped the speed limit from 70 to 60?
Oh,
and
so
the car noticed.
Okay, cool.
So it has to be some kind of combination of machine learning that allows it to make that change over time. Oh, I'm like, why isn't it going on? And I felt...
You've been punished.
I forgot I was punished. I completely forgot. I got too complacent. And that's exactly what it's trying to avoid. But yeah, like, it used to be...
Oh, what was that beeping?
It yelled at me because I departed the lane. I cut the lane lines to make that turn.
Oh. But that's just poor design of that road.
That is very poor. Yeah, nobody would not cut it to make that turn safely. I actually don't know if it pulls into angled parking spots. From what I understand, it's only...
Well, you wouldn't back into those.
You sure wouldn't. Yeah, it's illegal to, for that matter. But yeah. Let's see if this is a parking spot that will give me parallel.
Oh yeah, we've got two cars right up here.
So in this instance, it's looking for a space between two cars.
Although these two cars, it's a
driveway.
Yeah.
Will it detect that it's a driveway? Let's see. Let's see if I can get it to simulate it. Oh, it gave it to me. So basically, to get that P to light up, I need to park.
There were two cars. You pulled up to the front car.
Mm-hmm. And it gave me the P. I need to put the car in reverse to enable that P. And I hit start. And now it is auto parking. Now, it disabled autopilot, but it is allowing me to auto park.
Oh, we are going to block this driveway, so we won't stay here long.
And I'm just going to let it do it for once, because I usually stop it out of fear that I'm going to get curb rash. But it's doing a great job here. But it
does get us very close to the curb.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah.
So let's see how much it pulls forward to situate this.
I think it'll try to like put us perfectly balanced in between the two cars.
I don't know.
Oh, maybe not. We're getting closer to the front car now.
Yeah, and I'm like getting ready to stop. So I don't know why it pulled to the front car that close, but maybe it's looking at the hash marks.
Oh, that too. So there's some markings on the ground.
I think it did an excellent job there.
Yeah, that was great.
That was a really good one. So
auto park. Now, is auto park also? It's available with regular autopilot, right? No. Only
that's enhanced. All enhanced autopilot and full self-driving. It does make a difference. Like the enhanced autopilot, I think was a great balance for the money.
Yeah.
Because what is the difference? Like
between enhanced autopilot and full self-driving.
Right. So for example, if I have autopilot on, which is not gonna, it gave it to me because I put when it's parked. Enhanced autopilot will not stop at this stop sign, even though it sees it.
Yeah. The rendering saw it on the ground. It didn't see the. But sometimes it will see the.
So full self-driving currently will stop at that stop sign. Like I'm talking about, like it's not a beta feature. It's currently actively doing it. It'll stop at that stop sign. It should check for cars and then continue on your path. It might stop here as well. What it won't do though is navigate on the city streets, and that's the part that's. So
we would just keep going straight.
Right, and if I needed to turn, I would have to initiate the turn. Okay. Right.
And when you say initiate, you mean obviously use the stalk to start signaling, but you would also have to turn the wheel.
I'd have to be steering, yeah.
Okay.
And then I don't have much experience with that because, like, if I'm turning the wheel, does it cancel it? Does it Does it try to accelerate too fast, you know, to where it's like a ridiculous turn?
Yeah.
So those are things that we can talk to Javier about, because he has full self-driving on his.
Yeah.
But the part that when everyone talks about the beta, they're talking about the navigation on city streets, where if I needed to turn here, the car would slow down, it would signal, or there's probably a confirmation, and then it would turn.
Yeah.
And then it'll stop at the stop sign and go when appropriate. Now, like, and it also currently will do this with stoplights as well, which seem a little bit more easier to parse than a stop sign. Like, if 4 cars stop at once, what does the car want to do?
Yeah, when it doesn't know its turn.
Or how does it handle uncontrolled intersections?
Yeah, this is also really challenging because cross traffic doesn't stop here.
Right. So in this town, there are a ton of uncontrolled intersections, which means that there's basically a T not a T, but a full plus sign intersection that doesn't have a stop sign in any direction, and it's treated like a yield.
Yeah. And
when there are cars, like this guy didn't have to stop. It's Parminder. Hi, Parminder. You know that guy? He didn't have to stop. He didn't have a stop sign because this is just 2 stop signs. The next intersection has none.
Yeah.
And I often notice that people will blow through them. So you treat it like a yield, and if you see any traffic, then you treat it like a stop sign.
Yeah.
But people don't do that.
Crazy.
So for example, like this person did it correctly. They stopped. So technically, they have the right of way now, like a regular stop sign. And he knows, he's my neighbor, he knows. So he did a good job. But a lot of times people will just blow through like they have the right of way, especially if they're on the slightly wider street, because we're gonna, so basically I have a garage, right?
Uh-huh.
And a lot of times people have difficulty doing this like very basic maneuver of backing into their garage.
Which is helped by the backup camera, but
there we can just keep it on.
Not perfect, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that you get with Summon, which comes as part of enhanced autopilot or full self-driving, is the ability to summon the car into your garage and out of your garage.
Yeah. And
you can dictate through settings, so customize summon, how much threshold is allowed, and whether it'll use home link, so it'll summon and open my garage door, or pull out and open my garage door. So let's try that. I've never tried it. So what we'll do is we're gonna have it pull in, and I think the way it works is you double tap the park button. I think there it goes. I needed to let go of the brake.
Okay, so you let go of the brake, you double tap the park button. You also have to make sure that the autopilot settings or auto summon settings are not on continuous press. You have to make sure that's off. And yeah, we want to back into the garage.
Yeah, so actually read the instructions. They're freaky.
Choose a direction. Auto park will start after you exit the car.
After you exit the car.
To stop the car, pull any door handle. All right, so we're going to get out.
Yep, we need to choose a direction, which we chose backwards. So we need to actually get out of the car and be ready to, film it doing its thing. And actually, it'll just do it. So if it's going to crash, you need to like intervene by grabbing a door handle.
Grab the outside door handle. All right.
And try to open the car, yeah.
All right, here we go. I need that. Okay. All right, here we go. It's bringing in the mirrors. We can hear it backing up. There it goes. You haven't played music as well? Oh, it's kind of turning a little bit. Oh, now it's straightening out. We're not near the handles though. It is. Oh, and it's closing the garage. Crazy. And is it going to go into park? Oh, there it goes. It's going into park. Wow, it closed the garage and everything. Now, it parked on its own, but it did not give much clearance at all on the side. Like, you'd have to get out, walk around just to get back in the car.
Yeah, and also...
You'd have to summon it back out to get in the car.
I think it's actually, because it's looking at non-visible spectrum, I think it actually sees the laser line for the garage door safety thing.
Oh.
Because it often parks like right after.
Cool.
But also you can dictate the threshold
Back
that's
distance.
close. Yeah, so for example, if I had increased the tightness range, like the comfort zone, it probably wouldn't have done this as much. And also I noticed that once we put the studio here, it started turning in more.
It wants to avoid all the studio gear.
Yeah, so over here, realistically, like I can't get in there. So this is a good example of like why I really like forward and backward summon. You've probably been to a parking structure where you can't get in your own car, or you can't, you're worried about damaging it. So here, go into summon.
All right, we're going to...
We got to get it out of the way of the car, though.
Oh.
It's just going to try to hit us. Or, it'll not...
So it's not smart summon anymore.
Yeah, tap reconnect, though, because it disconnected.
Oh, it disconnected.
This car went to sleep.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
And then, on this instance, you want to push forward.
Just forward summon, not smart summon.
And remember, you need to tap stop in order if something's going to happen.
Because we don't have
tap,
dead man switch version. Oh, no. Yes, please come forward.
Is it because we're standing in front of it still?
Oh. Haha.
Yeah. So it's great. Like,
getting itself out of the garage. And then we can get up and go. So really, realistically, at this point, it's good. We can hit stop.
That's it. It's plenty.
And we could get in and go.
Yep.
Because it parked itself in a manner that we would not be able to get in it on its own. Another thing that we haven't done is tested the car's ability to see objects when it is being summoned, like a human. So we're going to summon it forward, just like we did just before, to get it out of the garage. But I'm going to run in front of the car as if like a small child was playing in this area, and just like it's ran in front of the car.
Yeah, I mean, if you get into a low-speed car accident, sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to start off to the side.
All right. You don't want to stand over there?
Oh, you want to see me from over here?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
We want to see you jump in front of the car. Come a little bit more out.
So I get some momentum.
Yeah.
All right. I see.
You ready for it?
Yeah, I guess.
All right, here it goes.
Oh no! It did. Oh! It stopped.
I feel like, it's trying to go again.
Oh no!
It stopped again when it saw you, so that's good. At least it's stopping.
At least it's stopping.
Will it stop for the pole?
I hope it's.
I don't feel like it stops as aggressively as it should.
It could stop better. Yeah.
Is it gonna hit that pole? I guess not.
No. Whew.
So it was stopping, but not confidently.
It wasn't stopping as quickly as I would have hoped, as someone who was running in front of the car. But it did. It did stop, and it didn't hit the pole. But yeah. So definitely, if you're summoning your car, make sure there aren't small children running around, because it will stop, but not very fast.
This is why I won't use like smart summon in a parking lot or something.
That
was
weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems very irresponsible.
Like you said, parlor trick. Show your friends. That's cool. Probably not confidently using that.
Right.
Yeah. Hey man, can I record this call for my vlog?
Oh my god, I wasn't ready for that, but sure.
So Javier, you have a Tesla Model Y with full self-driving. First off, how do you like it? The full self-driving?
Yeah, and this is one of the things where people typically get confused with, because I have purchased full self-driving, and my car is then technically full self-driving capable and has it as one of its features, but full self-driving is not available yet, except for those beta testers, right?
True.
So I guess what I have is enhanced autopilot plus a few things like auto park, and I always forget what those are, because I've only really driven a Tesla with all those things, so I don't know what I wouldn't have if I didn't.
Sure. So luckily, Gilbert kind of broke it down. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna say, so enhanced autopilot has auto park, summon, smart summon. It has auto lane change and navigate on freeways, which all of which you have. The only current usable difference is you have stop sign control and stop light control.
Okay.
But you're not navigating on city streets yet, because that is the part that's true full self-driving, quote unquote, and that's the part that's in the beta.
And hopefully you get in the beta soon. That would be really cool.
Hopefully, yeah. Yeah, but then I guess I do use the FSD features that I have that I wouldn't have without Enhanced Autopilot, because I definitely use the, stopping on stop signs and traffic lights. All the time.
Now, how has your experience been with it? You know, you're driving around the Bay Area. How's that been?
Yeah, it's great. I think, especially once you get past the beginning phase where you're still trying to figure out, what are spots where it's maybe not going to perform well, or it's going to do something funky, and then you can anticipate it and turn it off and take control before, it doing something weird. And I can talk a little about what some of those examples are. But I don't really have to. I can't think of any time frequently that I disengage it because it's doing something unsafe. I'll disengage it because, I know there's something tricky, and I'm like, okay, it's maybe not going to handle it very well, so I'm just going to do it myself or something like that. But forget what I was going to say. My first experience with it was driving back from the dealership. I was finally able to turn on autopilot because it doesn't let you turn on anything until it calibrates the cameras. And then at one point I was driving with it on the freeway. It was great. And then finally I get off the freeway and I have to it stops on a stop sign or a traffic light, which is great. I have to make a right turn. And the light turns green and I have the blinker on and it starts going. And I'm like, where's it going? And it's going to go straight into a freeway. And I was like, wow, that's such a big bug. And then I learned that it does not make right turns in city streets. That is an actual full self-driving.
How frequently are you turning on autopilot in the city?
Definitely every single time. I'll turn it on at least once. If I'm not getting on the freeway, I'll use it less. But I'll use it sometimes. I'm 100 feet from a traffic light or a stop sign. I'll turn it on just so that I can relax my foot and have the car just come to a stop on its own.
Cool.
It's like a very lazy way of driving where I have to do less. And the thing is that autopilot actually drives really smoothly. So it's also just a really comfortable ride. Whereas other cars can be pretty jerky with these features.
Yeah. Well, I also feel to an extent the car, from some things, the car knows how to drive better than I do.
Yeah.
It knows what its thresholds are, and I'm not pushing it to its limits, or it's not going to push itself to its limits like I might if I don't know the car very well. You mentioned, there was kind of a learning period. That was. Could you describe a little bit more in detail? You kind of talked about the very first time you got the car and the very first time you used autopilot. How long did it take to get used to trusting autopilot or full self-drive? The self-driving features that you have.
Probably too little, because for the most part you can trust it, and even just switching lanes on the freeway and that sort of thing. Normally, it just does a perfect job, and it didn't take me that long to get used to it. But I wish that it hadn't, because you do need to be careful at the beginning. And like I said, until you realize what are some of those situations where it might mess up and you should anticipate it. I remember driving to Gilbert's house once. It was one of those times I was stuck behind a truck on a lane that was completely stopped, and I had to get over to the right lane to take an exit. But there were cars coming pretty fast on that lane. And I had an autopilot. I was like, oh, my car can figure it out, whenever it's safe to switch lanes. And then suddenly it started I think it realized, oh, there is a gap. but there is a car coming very fast. So in order for me to be able to successfully switch lanes, I have to like accelerate really fast on my lane and then switch lanes.
Okay.
And so that's what it started doing. I don't know how it would have turned out because I stepped on the brake pretty quickly. Because I was like, that is an insane thing that the car was going to do. I mean, I want to think that it's a computer and it's perfect and it did the math and it would have worked. But I feel like it would have either crashed onto the truck in front of me or the car on that lane would have hit me.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things where, like, if you're in that situation, it's kind of a tricky lane change.
Yeah.
Don't let Autopilot do it. Maybe in the future, FSD will actually handle that very, very well, but that's the kind of edge case that you want to learn where, you know, potentially the limits are and just don't let it potentially make a mistake. Yeah, I can't think of, there's another one actually I was just driving earlier and it did a funky thing. It wasn't unsafe because it knows where all the cars are at all times, so it wasn't going to hit anybody. Oh. But it was doing an auto lane change to the right. And it was basically almost on that lane already. And then suddenly the lane that I was on before split into two because there was a freeway exit. Yeah. And whenever that happens, the number of lanes on the road has changed. It gets pretty confused. Yeah. And it thinks, oh, the lane that I wanted to be on was like the third one from the right. And the third one from the right is now this other one. So it kind of like swerves back into the lane that I was on.
Whoa. Yeah.
And like I said, you know, it wouldn't do that if there was a car coming or something, I'm sure. So I don't think you will ever hit anybody by doing that, but it's a funky thing that you're doing.
Yeah, it's not how a human would drive that scenario.
I have a question. When you come up to a four-way stop sign, what happens? In multiple scenarios, the stop sign, you have Autopilot on, the stop sign is available, you're only going straight through the intersection, you're not going to turn, and there's no cars, 2 cars, and 4 cars.
Oh, it doesn't matter. The thing is that without full self-driving, without the beta, the car actually does not make any decision as far as when to go.
That's what I thought.
You actually have to either press the accelerator or push down the stalk to tell the car, okay, now it's safe to go.
It's my turn. Okay.
So it doesn't, at the moment, it doesn't have any understanding of, like, you know, who has the right of way in any of those situations.
So
the beta does.
But when you drive up to the stop sign, it will make a complete stop without disengaging Autopilot. And then once you make that confirmation, you're either by the throttle or the stalk, it will go. It'll proceed forward and go back to the previous speed relative to traffic.
Yep.
Wow.
If it wasn't your turn to go, and you tell it to go, it's going to go anyway.
Right.
And maybe it'll slam on the brakes if, like, someone is also going crossing the other way or something.
Okay. And that's how it works with the red lights as well, except is it using the green light to go?
If there's a car in front of you?
It'll stop on a red. If then you press the stalk to say, hey, I want to go, it actually won't go.
Oh, while it's still red.
Yeah.
Cool.
But if it's green, it actually also does not go on its own. You have to confirm, okay, it is green, and if I press the stalk, my car will start going, even though it's red.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that's why it makes sense that I have to confirm. I have to tell my car when it's okay to go.
Autopilot to enhanced Autopilot, you get to keep it on in more situations, like lane changing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then from enhanced Autopilot to full self-driving, you get another level of keeping it on. And then from full self-driving to true full self-driving with navigate in city streets, theoretically, you should not have to have any interventions other than awareness.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that.
I have one last question.
Okay.
I'm sure you may have seen, you know, I think it was Elon tweeted a couple weeks ago that, like, full self-driving is coming as a subscription.
Okay.
As someone who paid for full self-driving to own it in your car, how do you feel? And we don't know the price. Right. You know, the price might be ridiculous. It might still be better to still buy it outright per car. But how do you feel as full self-driving becomes a subscription service? What are your thoughts on that?
I am okay with the fact that I paid for it, I think, regardless of how much the subscription is, but because I did not pay the $10,000 that it costs currently.
Yeah, it was...
If I had paid the $10,000 that it costs now, I would probably be a little upset. I mean, unless the subscription is something ridiculous, like $500 a month, which it's not going to be. But yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I think more people will pay for it than they would have otherwise.
Yeah, the $10,000 is definitely a big pill to swallow, right?
Especially, Gilbert and I were talking about the cheapest Tesla you can buy, the standard range Model 3 that starts at like 30,000.
Yeah.
Or 20. Yeah, we're looking at, like, out of curiosity, like second used Model 3s. I think there are some for like 25,000, something like that. It doesn't make sense that this like software toggle costs like half as much as the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very crazy. Well, Javier, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So one of the questions I get all the time is, if I'm on autopilot, and right now I've set it to 45, right? And there's these crazy turn streets that are not like an intersection, what does the car do? I guess we're going to find out. Does it honor... I'm not touching anything right now.
All right. Yeah.
Does it honor these signs?
30 miles per hour.
What? I'm still not intervening. It's asking for the slight turn.
Yeah.
But did you notice that it actually fully slowed down and honored the sign? It saw the sign.
That was cool.
And even though it was a turn, it knew that it was a continuous road. And a lot of people, like, you know, it's a legitimate question. Like, what happens?
Yeah, people intervene.
So even, this is just basic autopilot, it still understood it. However, the speed limit here is 55.
But it thinks
and it's capping it at 45, making people upset. But now there's an official speed limit sign.
As soon as we pass it.
Let's see what it says. And it, boom, it changed it to 55, and it did see, we know for sure.
This car is tired of us not going 55.
So let's see what the new max is. Like, it's giving me 60 on this road.
Yeah.
Even though it's a farm road, and it says auto steer restricted to 60.
Yeah.
So if I try to go above it, I get that error again.
Yeah. And the cars in this area, technically, yes, it's 55, it's a country road, but people are oftentimes going like 65.
Oh, even if not higher, yeah. This is the grocery store? Okay, good.
No.
Can you see anything on the screen with the exposure?
It's pretty dark. But I can see your screen. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So let's try it again.
In the reverse direction.
Yeah, I'm gonna set it to the max it'll give me, which is right now 45 again, because apparently the speed limit's different on this side. And maybe it didn't have the information from the sign.
Yeah.
So I don't know why. But yeah, we're gonna just let it go. Blinking sign saying 30 miles turn, 30 miles, 30 miles.
Yeah.
And I noticed that these signs don't come up on the
yeah, that one didn't get noticed.
The full self-driving display. But let's see, I'm not gonna touch the car. It's already slowing down.
Slowing down.
And I'm gonna be real careful here because there's a car. Still letting it turn.
Yeah. Hey. Because that's basically a 40 or a 90-degree turn.
It is a full
on a continuous road.
Right.
Very cool.
So it works.
It did it safely.
So that's a common question I get, like, how does it handle those? It is actually seeing them.
Yeah.
And it is anticipating that it's going to be a sharp turn. And did you notice that it actually, like, there's a slight, what they call a double crown or a double apex to it? So, like, it actually adjusted to it. It wasn't quite a smooth turn. Like, they didn't make it quite, a perfect arc. So, but it worked.
All right, that's it. That's the difference between full self-driving, enhanced autopilot, and autopilot from, Gilbert and Javier's point of view. I hope that was helpful. That really kind of pushes me to wish that enhanced autopilot was still around. Maybe it'll make a comeback, but it'll also be very interesting to see what the price point comes in for subscription full self-driving. That's it for today. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.